Okay, it is week number 9. So this week's class, we're going to finish what we started last week, which was to update the our application with a different name instead of having com.example.whatever, and finish publishing our application so that we can get it listed on the Google Play Store. And then the majority of today's class is really focused on creating navigation, so a top-line navigation. So without further ado, let's dig into what we started last week, but we ran into a little snag on. I did put out a video last week. I don't know if people had the opportunity to watch it or not. All right, so let me just quickly get things back to the state they would have been in our last class. 1 second here. Okay, so last week when we went to deploy our application, we got that error saying that the package name of com.example was a protected name, and we couldn't use it. So I had mentioned it. We kind of ran into that problem right at the end of the class. We didn't really have time to deal with it, but I did have in our notes a process to deal with it. So under class slides and images, there was this Word document, and I built a video just for this one little piece. So if you're doing it with your project, it's in one quick area. So in order to change the application ID and the package name, we have a few steps, and I've broken it down into this big Word document here because when I was trying to figure it out a year ago, I couldn't find one particular document that described how you could do all the necessary steps. So I've tried to consolidate it here. So the first thing is we need to look at our project in project view. So I'm going to switch from Android view here to project view. And when we switch to project view and we look at our application under source, main, Java, we get to this com.example.f21 restaurant rater. And that com.example piece is, it's baked into the application in a few different ways. One is it's our directory structure, but it's also in the build.gradle file. And that's the actual ID that's used by the Play Store to uniquely identify each particular app. So we need to change it in both spots. So the way that we go about doing this is I can't access that little element in the middle easily. I could right click and I think refactor, trying to name it. Excuse me. But from what I could read, the most reliable way to do it is to go to this little gear icon here and go down where it says compact middle packages. Just uncheck that. So now each of these packages stand alone. So now we can go in, just selecting the middle package, and right click, go to refactor, and rename. And what I recommend is use something you know will be unique. If you happen to own your own URL, you could easily put your own URL in here. But in lieu of that, you could do GC, and I'm going to suggest your student number, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you do GC and your student number, and then hit refactor, it will search all the places that are referring to that, and it'll give you a list of them down here, and you can actually click on them individually to see where, for example, in the sign-in activity, the actual, where it's referring to com.example. It'll tell you all the spots. So you just have to click on do refactor. And it'll go through your entire application and clean up all the spots that reference it. Yep, it is recording. Thanks for reminding me. This little purple icon, if you see the little red box there, the recording is on. Yep, so to get them into the different folders, all you do is go up here where this little gear icon is, click on it, and deselect where it says compact middle packages. So if I select it, you can see it puts it all into one line. If I deselect it, it breaks it out. Then you can right-click, refactor, and rename. So that's step one. So that's changing our directory structure to have the appropriate name. Now let's go back to the document that I made. So that was step 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. See, I really broke it down for you. Now, it says update your module level build.gradle with the new application ID. So in your build.gradle file, the easiest way to find that is to go back to your Android view, Android, and at the module level build.gradle, in here you've got the compile ID, and then where it says default config, this is the important pieces when it comes to the Play Store. So the application ID needs to be com dot, and then you need to make it match whatever your directory structure is. So in your case, it'd be like GC and then your student number. So update that to match. This is also where when you want to do revisions on your code base, you would do them here. So you would change the version number. And that's how the Play Store, again, will know that you have a unique version number. Okay, I'm going too fast. So where did I lose you? What was the last part that you got working? I cannot hear you. Hang on one second. Me. All right. I think it's to do with my microphone here. Let me just... Give me 1 second, sorry. Huh. Oh, now I can hear you. Oh, interesting.
Okay, you can hear us?
I can. You know what's crazy is I didn't actually change the setting. I checked them, and then all of a sudden I could hear you. So weird.
Yeah, mine does that for hearing as I did every class. So I don't know what I did wrong, but I refactored the name and now everything's in red. And I clicked I'm in your document as well, and I'm at step 7, and now everything's red.
That's okay. We have to get to step 8 before you'll see how to fix that.
Like I haven't touched, I finished step 6 and I was going to step 7, but I don't know if I did something wrong.
So change,
and it's not a valid identifier.
Yep. So do step 7. So change the name to like com.gc and your student number.
I might have clicked the wrong thing to refactor. Okay, this might become a problem for after class, but I'm not available after class. Okay, never mind. I'll try and figure it out.
Okay. Well, so it will turn red. Mine, because I already did the process to make the video, mine didn't turn red, but it's normal that it turns red. And so once you change the application ID, what I want you to do is clean and rebuild your project. And it's going to fail as well, but you're going to go to build, clean project. So what happens is we're making like a fundamental change to our project here, right? We're changing our directory structure, plus we're changing the application ID. So the way that Android Studio works is it caches a whole bunch of information, and that's to speed up the build process. But in so doing, it has all this stuff cached. So we have to clean out all the cached data. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to change my my name here. 1 second. I'll give it a name that doesn't exist yet. So a refactor, rename. I'll make this GC1234. So we're going to sync. And my Google services and everything are going to break when I make this change. This is why I made such a remarkably detailed process, because when I first tried to do it, it was not trivial. So I'm going to go to build, clean project. And then build, rebuild. And I'm pretty sure at this point it actually will fail. And we'll need to make some changes on the Firebase side. So when I made that change, you can see that it fails. And you can see when it tries to run the Google services, it says no matching client found for package com.gc1234 F21 Radar. And that's because when we hooked up Firebase, I know we did it a few weeks ago, so you may not remember all the little details, but we actually set up this specific project onto our Firebase application. And it created something called a Google Services document. So if I go to my Google Services document, in here, it has my application ID built in. Where is it? So here, my package name is com.example, right? So this Google Services.json file is looking for my old project, not the one that's called GC1234. So I need to update that now. So let's go into Firebase. So when you go into Firebase, you're greeted with all the current projects that you have, right? So I'm on console.firebase.google.com. And the one that we're building right now is the F21 Restaurant Rater, or whatever you named yours. So I'm going to click on that. And then under Project Overview, this is where we actually connect it to our different applications. So I'm going to go to the little settings wheel here and go to Project Settings. Okay. So now, if we go down, let me just remove this. What you should see is that you have one app defined in there, and that's the app we built together. And let me just move my giant head out of the way. There we go. So what we need to do is we now need to add another app. And the you can do this through Android Studio, and I've had mixed results. I've had results where it worked just fine, and I've had results where it kind of breaks. So I found it more reliable to just come in here and click on Add App. Okay, so again, the way I went to Firebase, I went to Project Overview, I set on the little clicking the settings wheel, went to Project Settings, and then I'm going to click on Add App, and you can choose a different type of app. I'm going to choose the little Android character here. And now it's asking for the package name. So this package name must be the exact same package name that's in your Android Studio. So if I go back to Android Studio, in my build.gradle file, this is my package. Okay? So I'm in the module level build.gradle file, and I'm just going to take the application ID and copy it. And this should match your directory structure here. And so I'm going to copy that, go back into Firebase, I'm going to paste it in. Well, I pasted the wrong thing. Copy. You ever get that where the clipboard doesn't seem to want to copy the right thing? Yeah, too many things selected. Copy. There we go. And yeah, we can just give it a nickname if you want. Now this bit here, this signing certificate, the SHA-1, that's what's used by the Google authentication. So you can either add it now or you can add it later. What I'm going to do is just go back into Android Studio, and where it says Gradle in the upper right, I'm going to expand it. And under Tasks, we have the signing report. That's where we got it from originally. And in here, I can see my SHA-1 value. So I'll just copy that. And then I'm going to paste that into our Firestore. And then I'm going to click on Register the app. So I've given it my new package name. You don't really need that piece. And the SHA-1 fingerprint. Register the app. And here is telling us it's going to give us a new Google services.json file. And it tells us where we even need to put it. So I'm going to download my Google Services file. And you can either drag it in there, or you can just open it. And you can, I'm just going to copy the contents. Okay, so Google Services came up. I downloaded it. I'm just going to copy the contents into my Android Studio. Here's my Google Services JSON file. And I'm just going to paste it right over top. So now you can see my package name reflects my new project name. Is everyone still with me? Okay. So that's good. So now we've got a connection to Firebase in our Android Studio. And this next step here, we don't need to do. These are the dependencies. We've already put those in when we first connected to Firestore. So we're going to say next and continue to console. And now you can see we have two different apps registered onto our Firebase, right? So we have the one we just added, which will show your student number or any unique identifier. And it's got our SHA-1 fingerprint. We've updated the Google services back on the Android Studio side. So at this point, we should be able to run our app. So I'm going to come back in here and do a clean project. And then I'm going to rebuild it. Now this build usually takes a little bit longer because we've cleaned everything out. So there's no caching involved here. This is just pure building it from scratch. Okay, so my build finished now and it shows that it's successful. So that's a good sign. And now I did the signing report, so I don't want to hit play just yet. I want to pick a device. So I'm going to pick my app and hit play just to test that it works. You hear the fan going on my little laptop. It's working hard. So I have it set up to auto log in. Maybe I don't on this one. Maybe it's the other one I've set up that way. And when it logs in, it's accessing our Firestore. So we've got a list of all our restaurants here, and we are now operational. Yay! So was everyone else able to get theirs working? Did it compile? Is anyone stuck?
I think I messed up a refactor, and now my manifest is really broken.
Okay. So it's just broken in the refactor. Let's go back here to the manifest. And up here where it says package, does it show your new name or your old name?
So I just manually fixed it. But when I run the project, it no longer works. Because I refactored it, and then the refactor didn't take in the folder headings, but it changed throughout my project.
Okay. So let's take a look here at the rest of your Android manifest. So on line 3, like near the top, there should be a new package name. And then for each of your activities, there's going to be the new project name. Are those all changed?
No. And so I have to mail it, but it didn't change. And now I'm worried that it's changing other parts of my project too. So this might just be having to do like a find all and then replace everything.
Mm-hmm.
I did uncompact the folders. So the example when I was able to change to COMP3025, but my week 05 Firebase like project folder, it didn't accept the refactor, and now except for like anywhere in the document, but not the folder itself. So this is fine.
So for this particular file, not for all files, but like if you do find, you can go to replace or do Control R and type in like com.example and then do the new name and just do replace all on this document. See if that cures your problem.
It creates issues in the sense of like my Android name no longer is connected to my classes anymore.
So none of your classes changed?
Yeah, oh my god, yes, this is going to be just having to go through the project and find any time I wrote the new one and it didn't work. Okay, this might just be during the break.
Okay, so one thing you can do is like a massive series of undos and then redo the refactoring.
Yeah, when I tried to do the undo at the start, it was like delete class comment activity view like from when we worked on it last week. So I'm just gonna have to do this manually. It's fine.
Okay. So another option for you is I'll push this to GitHub right now, and you can take a copy of mine. So at least what we're doing in today's class, you can follow along without any hiccups. Change the package. So I put the GitHub link into the chat, and if you want to use that, all you have to do, go to my Android Studio, is under File, if you go to New Project from Version Control. So if you click on that link, then what will happen is it will allow you to just paste that URL right in here, and you say clone, and it will clone it, and you should be able to get it to run, but you'll have to put your own Google services information in there. But that'll work around any big changes you may have in your directory structures.
Thank you.
So, Eric, if I'm hearing this right, today's your day to get ahead of Lindsay. Okay, so you got to use this to your advantage.
My mind is elsewhere. Like I'm supposed to be on the highway in like 2.5 hours. So like this is just becoming a nightmare scenario.
Oh no! Oh, sorry to hear. Hopefully, you're at least going somewhere fun. All right. So the next step, let's go back to the Play Store, where we left off last week. So last week, if you go back into your Google Play console, so play.google.com/console, we got to a certain point, and then we had to create the new release, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have we had this com.example component. So what we need to do is create a new AAB file. So the way that we did that is we went to build, and we wanted to generate the signed bundle /APK. And we're going to take the top option here and say next. And so let's make this, I'll make this key alias 1. Next. Finish. And it takes a little bit to build this. So while that's running, in case you missed my steps, I went to build, and then I went to generate signed bundle. I selected the top item, and then I just changed the key alias by 1. Oh. Okay. I'll do key 0 again. I think I have to set up a new store otherwise. Okay. So that ran. And if I look at that, that folder, Android Studio projects, our restaurant rater. In here, under app, we have the release folder. Okay. So I'm in my Android Studio projects, I'm in my high-level app, and then the directory called app, and then release. And in here, I have the file that I just created, it's app-release.aab. So that's the file we need to put onto the Google Play Store. So I'm going to go back to the Google Play Store now. And we're going to create a new release. And it says here are the app bundles. So this is where we upload the AAB file. My memory is it's a decent sized file, so sometimes it takes a little bit to upload. The nice thing about watching this after the fact is you can just fast forward through this. There's not much we can do. We can give this a release name while we're waiting. I don't know. pre-alpha release. A lot of times you'll see companies use sort of that alpha, beta, Charlie type nomenclature with their releases. You've heard the phrase beta probably lots. So here we go. Here's our bundle. And I've given it a release name. I'm going to hit save. Looks like there's almost 16,000 devices that our app will support. Okay. So I'm going to click on Review Release. Got a couple warnings here saying, because I guess I clicked on the closed testing versus open testing. So if you do open testing, then anyone can see it. If you do closed testing, then you have to specify a list of testers. And so we can go here. I can select some testers, and you can put in an email list. So let's see here. So as you type names, you'll see the days get added to this email list, and you can save the changes. I beg to differ, but okay. So I'll save the change. So again, the other option is you can just go to open testing, and then anyone can access it. Okay, so now I've got a tester that I can use to access it. And we need to review and release. So we've got our APP bundle, we've got testers, or at least a tester. Any release notes you can put in there. Oops. So now we have release notes, review the release. I'm not going to worry about that one. And I'm going to start the rollout. And so now I've got the one item there, and we should, I did it as a closed, still in a draft state. thought we released it. So it's in a draft state because I have it into a closed testing state. So the idea with closed testing is you really restrict who can get on it. Then you can go to open testing, and then you can go to release state. I'm just going to do it as an open release instead of, open testing instead of closed testing. Then we should get at least into a released state or a testing state. Okay, it's not going to let me do that because I haven't changed anything since my closed testing one. All right, that's fine. So usually once you get to this point, there's a Google has to review your product and whatnot. So at this point, we're sort of waiting for them to allow it to progress. So I think that's as far as we're going to take it for today with putting stuff onto the Play Store. And what I'm going to do, we've been at it kind of 45 minutes. So why don't we take this as an opportunity to take a break. If you're having any problems getting your code working or whatnot, now's a great time to kind of tune that up. It's 12:43, so how about we come back at 1, which should hopefully give you enough time to get things rocking. And when we come back, we're going to look at navigation, how to add navigation to our application. And I'll just show you sort of the end game of what it could look like by the time of the end of class. So this is navigation here. So this is the type of stuff we're going to add, and I've changed obviously some fonts, and I've added in some scrolling capabilities. So by the end of today, you can see as we flip through these different screens, we can do a lot with our app. It starts to add some functionality. So let's tackle that when we get back, 1 o'clock.